What's up, conscious creators? Alex here. In this video, we're going to talk about what the non-dual view might say about social media and how to transcend the challenges that it seems to present to so many people. First, we'll discuss why social media, while often wonderful and useful as it is, leads so many people to social media addiction, overwhelm, fear of missing out, and comparisons with others and other people's lives. Then, we'll discuss how, as you rest in your true nature as infinite consciousness, many or even all of these challenges just melt away. But first, let's understand the foundation of why this happens on a deep, non-dual level so that you can see why so many people feel like they're in a pickle. You see, society has been under the spell of a great myth for a good while now. The myth is peace, happiness, success, or fulfillment are on the outside. They're not inherent qualities of our being. They're things to be sought and to be achieved or gained. In the 17th century, René Descartes, French philosopher and mathematician, introduced the concept of the mind-body dualism into Western philosophy, and he proposed that the mind and body are two distinct entities, the mind being an immaterial substance that we could call consciousness, while the body being a physical substance. And then, of course, Isaac Newton's laws of motion provided a mathematical framework to understand the outside physical world, and this gave birth to a scientific revolution, which progressively reinforced the idea of a separate world made of matter, fundamentally outside of consciousness and outside of ourselves. And while, of course, on one level there's nothing wrong with this, in fact, these ideas helped us to develop modern civilization and all our fantastic and comfortable technological wonders like phones and social media. But we ended up in a situation where the mainstream Western belief and narrative is that we're fundamentally separate from the universe. Our bodies and brains can essentially be reduced to atoms, and our consciousness or awareness is separate and distinct, and it's produced by the brain. We don't quite know how, and when the brain dies or disappears, we assume consciousness disappears. And whilst you may wonder what this has to do with social media, it's beliefs like these that inform both our interactions with social media and the development of it. Under this spell of illusion and fascination with looking on the outside for answers, the inherent peace and wholeness of our true nature is overlooked. Success, fulfillment, happiness, or simply relief from suffering are seen to be things to be achieved in the external world. They're seen as a result of monetary, material, or notoriety gains, or the achievement of a certain state of health or state of mind, in using our consciousness to rearrange matter in a certain way to create an internal feeling. Or we may feel that maybe we will find the relief from the stress and pain of having to constantly achieve and be something after indulging in digital pleasures such as pornography, games, or the endless scrolling novelty of the TikTok feed, only to find ourselves empty again. And within this belief system, social media has the perfect opportunity to hook into that belief and the perfect environment to grow to the monstrous size it has and into the forms it's taken today. Some people will tell you that it's now being developed with human mental health and well-being in mind. And whilst that may be the case to some degree, and whilst social media has undoubtedly helped create many beautiful things and many beautiful human connections, the current main social media platforms are ultimately designed specifically to hook your attention and your reward system, maximizing little dopamine hits, just like a casino, trying to keep you on it for as long as possible by almost any means necessary so they can sell your attention to advertisers and maximize profit. Because remember, in the dualistic view of the world, consciousness and matter are separate. Consciousness is the product of the brain, and the brain and body are essentially machines that can be programmed to run along a certain trail of dopamine breadcrumbs, maximizing attention on the product and the expansion of the corporation. And the corporation is the extension of human will and all the mainstream beliefs that inform it. And if the belief is that the fulfillment of happiness and fulfillment itself are things to be achieved, the corporation acts under the guise of being able to provide these things, whilst its core motive underneath is ever increasing achievement and expansion, achievement of profits, and achievement of the lofty goals and visions of tech CEOs, whatever they may be. When we overlook our true nature on this scale, the result is billions of people constantly trying to satisfy themselves and find relief, both addicted to and overwhelmed by a social media labyrinth that they really don't want to be in, but constantly find themselves being sucked into, comparing themselves and their lives to other people and their lives, or whatever shiny varnish veneer they present online. But whilst there's a lot of terrible things we can say about social media and its effects on society and mental health, ironically, more recently, it's the same place that many of us are awakening from the myth of duality. After all, I'm here on YouTube, which is social media, speaking about this. So when this myth of illusion, of separation is seen through, our true nature is revealed to be already inherently peaceful and fulfilled. This doesn't instantly end all social media addiction or overwhelm, but more and more we realize that these things will never ultimately satisfy us or bring us the lasting peace and fulfillment we so deeply desire. It was never there on the outside. It was always there as the nature of our being and our deepest essence. And as we realize that, we progressively see more clearly and more obviously our previously unconscious and automatic habits of seeking through social media or any other addictive activity. And we can engage with it in a more conscious way, knowing that it can be used to help connect with each other and enhance human connection and co-creation. Our engagement with it gradually aligns to a deeper understanding of ourselves, and our relationship with it completely changes. Our brains will still be wired for the addictive allure of social media initially, and we may find ourselves apparently lost again in its alluring trap. But more and more, those circuits are rewired for a different relationship with social media, as we realize what we're doing before we fall down the rabbit hole of mindless scrolling, and as we engage in new behaviors that are in line with an understanding of our true nature. Instead, we take a moment to zoom our attention out from being constantly contracted down onto the phone or the thoughts in our mind. Like opening the aperture of a camera, we fully open our attention and see the full view. We see ourselves as this aware spaciousness in which this whole experience is unfolding. And we see clearly this endless pain and pleasure cycle that an addictive relationship to social media produces. And instead of just instantly leaping for the apparent pleasure only to find pain and emptiness on the other side, we take a step back and experience what's present in awareness when we don't automatically go to social media. We experience this often background discomfort that the social media distraction was an attempt to cover up. we experience that this discomfort is nothing more than nervous energy in the body, which is nothing more than a sensation. And we experience that no sensation, however uncomfortable, ever touches or can touch your essential being. And as we rest as our essential being, as this wide open space of awareness, the agitation and discomfort tends to subside, leaving the peace of being more clearly revealed, with less need to seek relief in addictive behaviors like intentionless social media scrolling. And our interactions with social media become more intentional, to be used as a tool rather than a crutch. And as that happens, you may take practical steps to limit social media usage and interact with it in a different way. Personally, I've installed several special apps and social media feed blockers on my phone just so I'm not needlessly presented with the choice to get sucked into it or not. If I know I don't want to be on it, then it's more efficient to not be presented with the option to. And if I do want to take a look at what's going on, I can switch the blockers off for a moment and have a little scroll to see what it's all about. But no longer is it hours of intentionless activity drifting across endlessly exhausting, infinitely novel digital distractions with no resolution and no ability to satisfy us in any lasting way. In fact, used unconsciously, social media drives up stress and drives down mental well-being. So know that, and know yourself as who you really are. This wide open space of awareness that gives birth to all appearances. And all appearances are fleeting appearances that disappear with no trace, only to leave your timeless, already whole, already complete, satisfied and fulfilled self outshining everything. Zoom all the way out. Rest in this experiential knowledge of yourself as this. If you liked this video, let me know in the comments below. Should I make more like this or something else? And if you're interested in enrollment for the Awaken Aware program, that's my one-to-one program, just go to speaktoalex.com, link is in the description, and down there too is links to a couple of freebies, a guided breathwork and a free PDF. So, see you in the next video. Peace.